Happy Friday, happy Friday. So, I just wanted to expound a little bit about what's going on in DC right now with Trump sending the National Guard in to essentially take over. And so now you have it to where um, they're starting to push back because they're feeling like the administration is overreaching at this point. And of course, it's what he was going to do. This is what this is all about. It's an overreach of power. Again, my connection with DC is a special place. Every city has its good, its bad, its ugly. DC is no different. And the thing about it is that to make misleading statements, which this orange individual does with it almost seems like every word that comes out of its mouth. It's very misleading because DC crime rates have actually been going down. And I wanted to highlight a couple of things about, his statements that are, inaccurate. So President Trump claimed that the murder rate in Washington, D.C. reached the highest rate probably ever in 2023. And he ignored a decline in murders since then to justify the federal takeover. Um, Declaring a crime emergency. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was May 7th when he was talking about how great the city was. And, there was no mention of anything like this, but funny how things change. So he signed the executive order 30 days to basically take federal control of the Metropolitan Police Department. Um, you know, so let's get into what's fact and what's fiction real quick. So, Trump signed an executive order to take federal control of MPD for 30 days. The city's murder rate did increase in 2023 to its highest levels in 20 years, but it wasn't the highest ever, as he stated. And murders have decreased since. Statistics released by the MPD on the same day as Trump remarks show the number of homicides had decreased by 32% from 2023 to 2024 and by 12% so far from 2024 to 2025. In addition to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia reported in January that violent crime overall from 2024 was down 35% from the previous year and was the lowest it has been in 30 years. Okay. So, I mean, it's always these misleading statements, these mischaracterizations, just again, always with the tomfoolery to justify, you know, just ridiculousness. Jeff Asher, a co-founder of AH Datalytics, a data consulting firm that produces aggregation of crime data provided by law enforcement agencies around the country, told us Trump's claims about murders hitting an all-time high in Washington, D.C. is not inaccurate. D.C.'s murder rate in 2023 was 39 per 100,000, which was the highest in the city since 2003. That was still down from the more than 50% from the 1991's murder rate of more than 80 per 100,000, when the city had 482 murders. It has also since fallen and is on pace with 2019's pace so far in 2025. Asher, the former CIA analyst, stated. So, Adam Gale, President and CEO of the Council on the Criminal Justice, an independent think tank, also told us, citing FBI data, that Washington's murder rate peaked in 1991 at 80.6 and was at 38.9 in 2023 and 27.5 in 2024. Make it make sense. Tell us without telling us what it is that your real objective is. Everybody pay attention to the pattern. It's Los Angeles. Now it's Washington, D.C. Next, it'll be Baltimore. Then it'll be Chicago. Then it'll be New York City. Then it'll be Philadelphia. Then it'll be Atlanta. Pay attention to what they're doing. And I want to say he, but he's not intelligent enough to do this. He's just the front man. Project 2025 has been implemented in full force. Full force. And they've done more than I think. They've exceeded their own expectations in how they've been able to implement this. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd ask you is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? I know people of African descent said, hey, we're going to sit this one out. You know, we're going to let folks get a reality check. But now I ask you, do we continue to sit back? What is the game plan? Because he's going to full throttle. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know that he's trying to distract from the Epstein files. And in my estimation, I think it's also a distraction from what's going on in Gaza as well, because it's absolutely atrocious. The atrocities that are happening in Gaza are absolutely just beyond belief. But understand, last week it was Obama, Obama's treason. Then it was Oprah, Beyonce, Vice President Harris. Now it's let's go after these specific cities who have uh, the same set of, you know, um, demographics regarding the leadership, you know, and sizable populations of people with African descent. Now, DC is not Chocolate City anymore, that's for sure. Being there, visiting in 2006, interning there in 2007, 2008, working there 2009, going to school there 2016, whatnot. The city's definitely changed. It's changed. But at the same time, the leadership there is essentially they have a black mayor. Same thing in Baltimore. Same thing in New York. Same thing in Chicago. Same thing in Los Angeles. So there's that pattern. They're democratically, leaning or whatnot. So we see the pattern. But here's the thing. There's also what I think people need to pay attention to is, and let me see if I can find this, the Epstein files. There is two representatives, Thomas Massey, who Trump cannot stand, and another representative who are coming together and they're going to um, try to bring forth Epstein victims who have never spoken out um, about their trauma. So September the 4th is going to hold significant context of the Jeffrey Epstein's case. Okay. So let me see here. And forgive me, guys. And they're trying to introduce a bill. So this is by the Daily Beast. Thank you guys for your patience really quick. And it's titled Trump Nemesis is Bringing Epstein Victims to the Capitol to Push for Files Release. Okay. So a rebel Republican congressman has invited multiple victims of Jeffrey Epstein to a press conference at the U.S. Capitol as part of a bipartisan push to force the release of the legal files linked to the late pedophile. Here's the thing. In Texas, the Democrats left, you know, so that the quorum would not be successful or whatnot. I believe that they are now finally coming back, and everything with the gerrymandering situation in the state of Texas. But it's funny though, because nobody raised hell when the Republicans packed up Mike Johnson and they shot out of DC like Usain Bolt in his prime. Nobody's talking. The hypocrisy of this party is absolutely beyond me. Okay, but I want you to pay attention to this because September the 3rd, Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky and Democratic Representative Ro Khanna will be hosting this conference. And what they're trying to do is push forward that will force a House vote on releasing the Epstein files, as well as discuss their Epstein Files Transparency Act, which, if passed, will require Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all documents related to the billionaire financer in a searchable and downloadable format. The survivors deserve justice and Americans deserve transparency. Massey and Khanna both posted on X. The funny thing about this is this, okay, and I don't want to deviate too much. I'll save this for another video. But in essence, why is it that you only meet with Maxwell? Why wouldn't you try to seek and find more victims and get information and see who you need to go after? But you should have everything in the files already. But for those who've never come forward, you know what I mean, to provide new information. But people have to understand that pretty much lets you know deductive reasoning who may be in the file and who may not be in the file. Where's that outreach and support for the victims? Maxwell moves from Florida to Texas, from max to low tier. And that doesn't happen for the type of offense that she was convicted of. So all of a sudden, then I've even heard that she's eligible for work release. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Then there's a poll that says that 40% of Republicans will still vote for Trump, even if he is found to be in the Epstein files. What? This is sad. Really is. But again, I'll address more of that in another video coming up. But the people in DC are special. This is definitely an overreach of power. This is more implementation of Project 2025. This is trying to get a distraction from the Epstein files and what's going on over in Gaza. Um, but it's very sad, though. Where's the accountability? Where's the fairness? Thank you guys for listening.